So you may be aware that public speaking is one of the highest paid professions on planet Earth. But today I wanted to explain exactly why that is the case. Because quite often when people find out how much money people earn from professional speaking, they in fact find it an unfathomable amount. And what I mean by unfathomable is they simply cannot even comprehend how it's possible to generate the kind of incomes that a lot of these professional speakers generate in a very short period of time. Now, I remember the very first time I ever met a professional speaker, and they mentioned to me that they went from earning $60,000 a year to $60,000 a day. And I couldn't even comprehend how that was possible. I mean, how the heck does somebody earn $60,000 in a single day? Back then, I was really working in recruitment, and when I sort of thought about my annual salary, which was about $120,000 as a base, with on-target earnings of about $200K or so, I couldn't work out how is it that I'm really just working my butt off day in, day out, doing 60 to 90-hour weeks, and I can barely get to $200,000 a year if I really, really push myself. And let's face it, I only really just scraped through to 120 most years. But how is someone out there making 60 grand in a day? I didn't comprehend it. And because I couldn't fathom it, because I couldn't comprehend it, I thought the person I was speaking to was actually lying. In my brain, I'm like, you're just making this stuff up. This is all a load of rubbish. So when we can't comprehend something, when we can't fathom something, we often deem it to be a lie. And this is a very important thing to keep in mind. So one of the things that you want to test yourself with or stretch yourself with is comprehend a very important question. How can I fathom the unfathomable? Now, when this person told me they were making $60,000 a day, I did the maths based on an hourly rate. And I said, all right, if you're doing about roughly 6 hours work a day with lunch breaks, then you're getting $10,000 an hour to speak. I mean, who gets paid $10,000 an hour? Not even lawyers or doctors or anyone gets paid that. I mean, how can a human being get paid $10,000 an hour? It's because I did the mathematics in an unleveraged way. I did the mathematics based on time for money. But this is not what professional speakers get paid for. Professional speakers get paid for impact and the amount of people they impact at the same time. So what they actually end up earning is something known as a leveraged income. Leveraged income is where you provide value to more people at the same time. And this is really important to understand. Until you get up on a platform, you start speaking to groups of people, what we call one-to-many delivery, it's almost impossible to fathom leveraged income. Now, what I know is a lot of people want to earn $100,000 a year as a presenter. And I want to show you how to get to $100,000 a year using leveraged income. Remember, if you try to work out how does someone earn $60,000 in a day using time for money, you'll probably drive yourself insane. But if you try to work out how does someone earn $60,000 in a day using leveraged income, it becomes a lot easier. In fact, someone once told me a statistic. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but it kind of sounds pretty interesting. The statistic is this. If Bill Gates was walking down the street and he was to drop $25,000 cash out of his back pocket, if he took 8 steps and realized he dropped that money and turned around and saw the money lying on the ground, $25,000, after just taking 8 short steps, it is no longer worth him turning around to pick it back up. So do people make $60,000 in a day? Yes, they do. In fact, there are people that make significantly more than $60,000 in a day. They make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a day, but they do it based on a leveraged income. Now, if we want to earn $100,000 a year as a presenter, we have to look at a couple of ways of doing that. And there are kind of 2 core ways you can do it. You can do it as a paid speaker where you rock up to events and you present and share a message like a keynote presentation at a corporation, and you get paid a one-off fee for that presentation. Now, in Australia, the fees for keynote presenters range anywhere from $2,000 up to $10,000 for roughly a 45 to a 90-minute presentation. So between $2,000 to $10,000. Now, one of the clients that I've worked with privately, he gets paid $37,500 every time he presents, and his talk is only 40 minutes long. So that's pretty good time for money if you work it out. But when he's presenting, he's not presenting to one person, he's presenting to entire corporations, often 200 to 300 people at a time. So the $37,500 he gets paid for his 40-minute talk, it works out because of the number of people he's impacting at the same time. So keynote presentations is a way of doing it. And keep in mind, as I said, in Australia, you charge anywhere from about $2,000 to $10,000, depending on how good you are, what your brand position is like, obviously how impactful your message is, and really how you present the offer that you have as your presenting skills. So that is one way of doing it. The other way, so if you think about it, if you have a $10,000 keynote presentation, we've only got to do 10 per annum. That's it, just 10 talks a year and you've made 100 grand. If you charge $5,000 for your presentation, you've only got to do 20 talks per annum and you've made yourself 100 grand. And if you charge $2,000 for your keynote, well, I think you do the maths, you've only got to do 50 talks a year to get to your $100,000. To get to $100,000 as a keynote presenter is pretty easy once you start to do the maths. Now, another way of getting to $100,000 as a presenter is to actually run workshops of some description. Workshops, seminars, retreats, live events that you charge a fee for. Now, I don't know if you know the average ticket price of an event in Australia that is 4 days long on any topic. But the average ticket price for an event that is 4 days long on any topic is actually $3,000. So if we keep that in mind, that the average event is $3,000 in Australia, when you actually go to an event, that's what you're paying, then in order for us to get to $100,000, we have to roughly do anywhere from sort of 33 to 34 events. Or have 33 to 34 participants. But let's just say that we have 36 participants that are really required. So if 36 people pay $3,000 to come along to our 4-day event, then basically we end up at our 100 grand. Now, if we break that out across the year, it works out at just 3 people per month coming to your event. Now, think about it this way. If I gave you a full month to find just 3 people to come along to your workshop, if you had a full month to do that, I'm guaranteed you'd be able to find 3 people. Now, if you did that every month for 12 months, so every month you speak to just 3 people for 4 days, by the end of the year, you'll have made $100,000. Now, speaking to 3 people at once, though, is not a very leveraged income. So here is the suggestion. If you were to get all 36 people in one room at the same time for the same 4 days, then you actually end up making $100,000 for your 4-day event, which works out at $25,000 a day. Now, if you had just made $100,000 for teaching a 4-day event in January, and you had 100 grand sitting in your bank account, what would you likely do in February? Now, we ask people all over Australia and throughout the world this question, and some people say, oh, Ben, I'd go on a 9 or 10-month holiday. I'd go to the beach and sit in a hammock. But the fact is, that is not what you would do. If you just made $100,000 sharing your message, doing what you love, inspiring people, giving value to people, and hearing the people in your room expressing how much value they got from you, the change they made, the impact you've had on their lives, and you feel what it feels like to be an inspiration, I know what you're doing in February. What you're doing in February is you're running the event again. Now, if you run an event every month with 36 people in it for an entire year, you end up earning $1.2 million gross revenues from presenting. So to get to $1 million a year from presenting, you've really just got to find 36 people a month to come along to your workshops. But what I wanted to show you is the maths behind how you can get to $100,000 a year and why you can now appreciate that professional speaking, as in speaking to the general public in rooms full of people, is one of the highest paid professions out there. In fact, regularly we have clients that we've worked with, that we've assisted to put their talks together and go out there and present, actually have 6-figure days. What does that mean? It means they earn $100,000 or more in a single day. Now, not everybody obviously achieves this, but this is something that is definitely possible. And we've actually had a couple of people go on to make over $1 million in a single day. So it really is important to realize that not only are these figures unfathomable, but they are actually achievable once you know the process. So I want to explain that to you. So it actually sort of demystifies why is speaking such a highly paid profession. It's because of leveraged income. So next time someone is explaining the concept behind professional speaking and they're explaining some of the figures and the revenues that speakers make, hopefully now you can actually realize the mathematics behind it. That you're getting paid for the number of people's lives you impact at the same time. You're getting paid for the amount of value you share at the same time. And the more people who receive your value in the same moment in time, the more valuable you are. So that is why public speaking is one of the highest paid professions on planet Earth. Now, I hope you got value out of this. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, please comment down below. Please keep an eye out in your inbox because we have plenty more videos coming your way, plenty more content to share with you. And if you did like it, please share it with your friends if you think they might get some value out of it. And until we meet again, share your light, live your love, and do whatever it takes to be your own best friend. Bye for now.